Going on a blind date for Christmas, I drove my American car. When I arrived at the diner, my date and her best friend were already there. They were decked out in designer clothes from head to toe, looking glamorous. Seeing my simple attire, my date's best friend immediately gave me a look of disdain. "Emily, why is your date dressed like a construction worker? Look at his poor, pathetic appearance. He couldn't scrape together $100 if he tried." Hearing her best friend mocking me, my date didn't stop her. Instead, she smiled contemptuously. "I know, right? What is it nowadays, and there are still people driving American car. How embarrassing." I wasn't angry. Instead, I smiled slightly and said directly, "Have you heard of the presidential Cadillac? 01 If they hadn't been so rude, I wouldn't have bothered with these kinds of people." I finally made it home, and my mom insisted on setting me up on a blind date, saying that the other party had an excellent family and was good-looking. I sized up the woman in front of me. She was good-looking, but she didn't like me. It's just an American car, and you have to give it a name to make it seem like you're cultured. Looking so poor, you probably can't even afford this meal. I don't know how your mom could be so embarrassed to let you come on a blind date. Get out of my sight. I'm not interested in you. I almost thought there was something wrong with my ears. She wanted me to leave as soon as I sat down? Was she playing me for a fool? I drove all the way here and didn't even have time to drink a sip of water before being mocked repeatedly. My temper flared up immediately. "You must be Emily Johnson, the blind date Aunt Wendy introduced me to? I haven't even introduced myself, and you're already saying you don't like me and telling me to go back. Are you guys a setup?" As soon as I said that, Emily Johnson's face turned black. Looking at her expression, it was highly likely that I hit the nail on the head. Her eyes flickered, and she stammered. "What setup? I don't understand what you're talking about. A blind date is a mutual thing. Isn't it normal that I don't like you since you're so poor? Just because you came to see me on a blind date doesn't mean I have to be with you, does it? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror." The more she spoke, the more agitated she became, and saliva almost splattered on my face. I couldn't believe that this was the gentle and kind date my mom had described. Okay, I'm poor, and you're a rich young lady, right? Then can you please return the cash gift in an envelope my mom gave you? My mom specifically told me before leaving that if the blind date wasn't successful, I must remember to get the cash gift in an envelope back. Actually, my mom didn't say that at all. I just couldn't stand her. As soon as I finished speaking, her best friend immediately stood up. "Sam Miller, right? I've seen your information. After graduating high school, you've been staying out of town, and there's no way to find out what you do. We've been sitting here waiting for you for so long. Why can't we take this cash gift in an envelope? Now that we've met you, and you've had your water, you still want to take the cash gift in an envelope back. You're dreaming." After hearing her best friend's words, I was shocked. Was this the legendary best friend? To ask for money so openly, were they here to make money or to go on a blind date? My mom worked so hard to save $10,000, and I only met her once and barely said a few words. And now the money was gone? According to you, you guys make more money than prostitutes. As soon as I said that, Emily Johnson and her best friend were furious on the spot. "Hey Sam, what do you mean by that? Are you calling us chickens?" I curled my lips and smiled slightly. Everything was self-explanatory. Seeing that I didn't say anything for a long time, Emily Johnson and her best friend became anxious. "Hey I'm telling you, if you don't apologize to us today, I guarantee you won't be able to leave this diner." That's right. Someone as poor and ignorant as you wants to marry a swan? Take a look at yourself in the mirror. The cash gift in an envelope is ours, and we're not going to give it back. If you know what's good for you, get lost. After hearing their words, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. You keep calling me poor. Then give me back the money. I should take back what I said just now. Your behavior is probably worse than prostitutes. At least they put in work. You guys are just robbing, right? After speaking, I raised my fingers and roughly calculated. going on one blind date and getting $10,000 for nothing. If you meet some fools, you might even get a free meal. This business is good. It's faster than robbing a bank. Emily Johnson and her best friend were speechless by my words, standing there dumbfounded. As the old saying goes, bad people will be punished by worse people. I'll be the worst person today. 02 You can't win against me in an argument, and you don't dare to do anything. I advise you to obediently return the money to me. What's wrong with you two young girls? Why do you have to learn to be a setup? Do you have no respect for your parents? I have things to do. Return the money quickly, or I'll call the police and arrest you too. As soon as they heard I was going to call the police, Emily Johnson and her best friend immediately panicked. Please don't call the police. Your money isn't with us. What? Then where did my money go? I remembered clearly that I personally saw my mom hand the cash gift in an envelope to them. The money was handed over. Emily Johnson was frightened by my aura and looked timid. As expected, just like I thought before coming, my mom was indeed scammed. What kind of blind date requires a $10,000 meeting gift? Isn't this obviously a ripoff? But my mom actually believed it. Who did you give the Oni to? I narrowed my eyes, my tone without a trace of emotion. To Tony_Tiger_Moretti. Tony_Tiger_Moretti? What kind of thing was that? But, judging by the name, it sounded like a Godfather. Is Tony_Tiger_Moretti your boss? Emily Johnson nodded, her eyes full of admiration. Yes, Tony_Tiger_Moretti is the biggest Godfather in Riverdale. We're just freelancers, following him to make a living. After hearing Emily Johnson's words, I almost choked on my water. What is it nowadays, and you're telling me there are still people who dare to call themselves a Godfather? Does he not want to live? I didn't expect my statement to make Emily Johnson anxious. You're not allowed to insult my Tony_Tiger_Moretti. He's my idol. Huh? I almost thought there was something wrong with my ears again. Are young girls' values so distorted now? They actually take a Godfather as their idol. Probably watched too many Godfather movies as a kid. Since my money is with that whatever Tony_Tiger_Moretti, I won't make things difficult for you two for now. Emily Johnson and her best friend were about to slip away when I suddenly changed the subject and added, call your boss and have him send the money back to me. That's my mom's hard-earned money. I must get it back today. As soon as I said that, the two of them were completely dumbfounded. Are you out of your mind? Emily Johnson looked at me in shock. You want to ask Tony_Tiger_Moretti for money? Do you not want to live? He's such a powerful figure that he can crush you with just one finger. I stretched. Tony_Tiger_Moretti is no one to me. I just want to get my mom's money back now, understand? Emily Johnson's best friend also stood up at this moment. Hey Sam, I advise you to forget it. If you offend Tony_Tiger_Moretti, even the officer can't save you. In the entire Riverdale, I've never seen anyone who can get money out of Tony_Tiger_Moretti's pocket. I waved impatiently, took out my cell phone directly from my pocket and handed it over. Stop dawdling and call him quickly. 03 Emily Johnson and her best friend looked at each other and took the cell phone tremblingly. You're the ones who asked us to call. If something happens to you, it has nothing to do with us. Seeing me nod, Emily Johnson carefully entered the number. As soon as the call connected, I snatched it away. Hey, is this Tony_Tiger_Moretti? I heard from your people that you took $10,000 from me. I'm giving you 20 minutes to get to the diner you run. 1 second late, and you'll bear the consequences. Without waiting for the other side to speak, I hung up the phone directly. My series of actions shocked Emily Johnson, her mouth wide open. You actually dare to talk to Tony_Tiger_Moretti like that? You're just courting death. If Tony_Tiger_Moretti really comes, you won't even have time to regret it. I sat on the sofa nonchalantly, peeling an orange. It's fine if he comes. I'm just afraid he won't. I've been staying in the military base all these years and rarely go home. If it weren't for the fact that I won second prize in the all-army combat competition, the military district commander specifically approved my leave to go home and visit relatives. Maybe I would still be training in the military base right now. Hey Sam, if Tony_Tiger_Moretti comes later, don't say we told you. Tony_Tiger_Moretti has always had a volatile temper. If you anger him, the three of us will be finished. As soon as Tony_Tiger_Moretti was mentioned, Emily Johnson's attitude immediately took a 360-degree turn. This couldn't help but remind me of what she was like when I first met her. It seemed that people shouldn't be too low-key. Being low-key makes it easy to be bullied. If I hadn't run into this today, I don't know how many more people would be deceived because of this. Thinking of this, my sense of justice surged. When leaving the military base, the chief repeatedly told me not to get into conflicts with local people. But I believe that as a qualified soldier, when you see injustice, you should draw your sword to help. I believe the leader will definitely not blame me for knowing. Time passed by, and with less than 10 seconds left until 20 minutes, Tony_Tiger_Moretti finally arrived. More than a dozen brand new Rolls-Royce, parked neatly in front of the diner. A bald, middle-aged man led the way into the diner. Behind him were a group of bodyguards in black. Looking at it from a distance, it was really a bit intimidating. Without waiting for me to speak, Emily Johnson and her best friend immediately greeted him. Tony_Tiger_Moretti, this is the person who called you just now. He also said that if you didn't come, he would smash your diner. My best friend and I are both girls, and we couldn't stop him at all, so we had to call you for help. It's said that the most poisonous thing is a woman's heart. Emily Johnson's ability to embellish the truth was used perfectly. But it didn't matter, even if she said everything, I had to get the money back today. Tony_Tiger_Moretti glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, and then swaggered over. You're Sam Miller? I didn't even raise my head, just nodded slightly. That's right, it's me. I heard them say that you're going to smash my diner. I looked at the blind date, who was standing behind Tony_Tiger_Moretti, showing off, and the corners of my mouth couldn't help but rise. Although I didn't say it, but that's exactly what I was thinking. How dare you! As soon as I finished speaking, a group of bodyguards in black behind Tony_Tiger_Moretti immediately surrounded me. I roughly estimated in my heart that it would only take 3 minutes to get rid of these people. It was a pity that, due to my special status, I couldn't directly take action. Tony_Tiger_Moretti thought I was scared and looked at me arrogantly. Aunt Lee, what's wrong? Weren't you quite impressive on the phone just now? Why don't you even dare to fart now? 04 I poured myself a cup of tea, took a sip, and moistened my throat. You're Tony_Tiger_Moretti, right? Your people took $10,000 from me. When are you planning to return it? As soon as I finished speaking, a group of people behind Tony_Tiger_Moretti laughed wildly. Kid, I think you're tired of living, asking Tony_Tiger_Moretti for money. Don't you know who you're dealing with? In the entire Riverdale, who dares to talk to Tony_Tiger_Moretti like that? I advise you to kowtow and apologize to Tony_Tiger_Moretti honestly, so as not to suffer physical pain later. I raised my eyebrows slightly. Oh, what if I insist on getting the money back? Even Tony_Tiger_Moretti probably didn't expect that I would dare to challenge him in front of so many people. His face gradually became ferocious. Good. I like people with tough mouths like you the most. Don't you want money? Fine, I can give it to you. But whether you can get it alive depends on your ability. After speaking, he waved his hand directly, and the people behind him instantly surged towards me. But they punched me a dozen times in a row, but didn't even touch my clothes. I strolled leisurely through the crowd, occasionally mocking a few words. Tony_Tiger_Moretti stood aside, his face turning black with anger. What do I feed you for? So many people can't even catch one of him? Kill him for me quickly! But no matter how he shouted, his subordinates couldn't touch me. At this time, Emily Johnson stood up, thinking she was being smart. She pointed to the presidential Cadillac parked at the door, with a wicked smile on her face. Tony_Tiger_Moretti, do you see that American car parked at the door? That car was driven by Sam Miller. Isn't he good at hiding? Let's just smash his car, right? Tony_Tiger_Moretti's eyes lit up as soon as he heard this. Everyone stop catching him, and smash the car with me. With his order, the people around him ran towards the parking lot. They held steel pipes in their hands and smashed my car. After smashing for more than 10 minutes, only a little paint was slightly scratched, and there was no problem with the car body at all. Damn, I can't catch people, and it's so difficult to smash a car. Tony_Tiger_Moretti, this car is too hard. The brothers have been smashing it for a long time, but there's no reaction. I put my hands in my pockets and shouted at them. Hey, can you guys do it or not? I've seen you smash it for a long time, but how come it's still not broken? My sarcasm instantly ignited Tony_Tiger_Moretti's anger. He snatched the steel pipe from a younger brother and swung it a few times. Only heard a clang sound, the iron rod flew 3 meters away. Tony_Tiger_Moretti covered his hands in pain. Son of a bitch! How is this car so hard? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Tony_Tiger_Moretti, my car is not only hard, it's also bulletproof. After speaking, I took out the military cell phone from my pocket and dialed a mysterious number. Hey, Chief, your car was just smashed by someone. What did you say? A roar came from the other end of the phone. I briefly explained the cause and effect of the matter. I felt the chief's anger through the screen. Sam Miller, report your location immediately. He directly issued an order to me on the phone. After hanging up the phone, I slowly walked up to Tony_Tiger_Moretti and gently patted him on the shoulder. Tony_Tiger_Moretti, I think it's still necessary to inform you that the car you just smashed, its name is Presidential Cadillac. But I didn't expect that Tony_Tiger_Moretti didn't restrain himself after hearing my words, but instead became even more rampant. I don't care what kind of Cadillac it is. I must smash it to pieces today. At this time, Emily Johnson shouted loudly from the SID. Look everyone! Hearing this, everyone looked sideways. More than a dozen military pickup trucks with red license plates were driving towards this side. 05 Tony_Tiger_Moretti had never seen such a spectacular scene, and he was completely dumbfounded. When he reacted, the car had already driven to the entrance of the diner. Are you officer here to eat? Why didn't you say so earlier so I could arrange it in advance? Seeing this, the others directly made way. Only I stood at the entrance of the diner as if nothing had happened, motionless. Tony_Tiger_Moretti shouted at me anxiously. Get out of the way, didn't you see the officer are going in to eat? Everyone's eyes were focused on me. I took a step forward calmly. Who said they were here to eat? Tony_Tiger_Moretti pointed and scolded me. If so many people aren't here to eat, are they here to find you? I snapped my fingers. Congratulations, you guessed it right. As soon as I finished speaking, the leading officer stood at attention and gave me a standard military salute. Comrade Sam Miller, we have received orders from our superiors to report. What? How is this possible? Emily, am I seeing things? I seem to see that officer saluting Sam Miller. In the crowd, Emily Johnson's best friend stared at me in shock. I curled my lips and smiled slightly. This is the person who smashed the chief's car. Understood. The officer turned smartly and shouted to a group of soldiers behind him, everyone, get in the car and get the shovels. In less than a minute, the well-trained soldiers held the shovels in front of their chests. Listen to my command, smash the cars. Yes. Before Tony_Tiger_Moretti could react, the 18 Rolls-Royce he had driven earlier had already begun to experience devastating blows. Officer, why are you smashing my car? This is a Rolls-Royce, each worth millions. Can you afford to pay for it if it's damaged? Stop it quickly. If you don't stop, I'm calling the pole. Ice station. Hearing Tony Tiger Moretti's words, I almost couldn't help but laugh out loud on the spot. I've never heard of a Godfather calling the police station on his own initiative. Are you the owner of this diner? Tony Tiger Moretti nodded tremblingly. That's right, I'm Tony Moretti. The brothers on the road give me face and call me Tony Tiger Moretti. Then there's no mistake in smashing it. The officer's answer was simple and neat, and he didn't even give Tony Tiger Moretti a chance to think. Maybe at this moment, his brain had been turning for a long time and he couldn't figure out who he had offended. In his words, who in the entire Riverdale dared to smash his car? While speaking, most of the 18 Rolls-Royce had been destroyed. Tony Tiger Moretti's heart was bleeding at this moment. Officer, you have to give me a reason for smashing my car. You can't just smash the cars of ordinary people because you're from the military base. He remembered that he was an ordinary person at this time. Tony Tiger Moretti, I already told you, the car you smashed was a presidential Cadillac. Do you understand presidential Cadillac? It is China's 14 billion people's face. Besides, the one you smashed was a custom presidential Cadillac. Do you think it should be smashed back? Tony Tiger Moretti wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. That. How much is this car worth? I'll pay you for it, okay? One isn't enough. I'll pay you for 10 of them, okay? The cars here are all Rolls-Royce, each worth millions. How can you just smash them if you want to? Okay, you said it. Pay me for 10 of them. I slowly walked to the presidential Cadillac and opened the car door. This car is specially used by the military district commander and uses bulletproof technology throughout. The market price is about 10 million each, and you have to have proof of identity to buy it. If you want to pay for 10 of them, that's 100 milli. On, pay up. 06 At this time, Emily Johnson suddenly stood up from the crowd, looking like she was going to defend her idol. You're talking nonsense. This is obviously an American car. How can it be so expensive? I looked at her with some pity. I advise you to watch the news more often. Who said American cars are necessarily cheap? Remember when I told you its name? It's called Presidential Cadillac. If you really don't believe it, use your own cell phone to search online and see how much it's worth. As soon as I finished speaking, Emily Johnson immediately started searching in front of everyone. After a few seconds, her hands began to tremble, and finally the cell phone fell directly to the ground. Emily Johnson's lips were pale. What he said is actually true. This car is worth 12 million. How much? Tony Tiger Moretti stared with wide eyes. Tony Tiger Moretti, see how good I am to you. I even underestimated it by 2 million for you. Tony Tiger Moretti vented all his anger on Emily Johnson. Emily Johnson, you bitch, didn't you tell me this was just an ordinary American car? It's more than 10 million, you can't afford to pay for it even if you sell yourself. He roared and slapped Emily Johnson in the face. In a short while, Emily Johnson's face was swollen like a pig's head. Even I couldn't bear to watch. Okay, what kind of ability is it to only hit women? I advise you to pay the money, or all your cars will be scrapped today. Pay what money? Why should I pay the money? It was this little bitch who asked me to smash it. I didn't expect that the dignified Godfather would actually start acting like a rogue in front of so many younger brothers. If you want money, find her to pay. I can't pay a penny. I couldn't help but narrow my eyes. Tony Tiger Moretti, are you sure you're not going to pay? He turned around, facing away from me. Yes, not a penny. At worst, you can smash all my cars. After hearing his words, I couldn't help but clap my hands excitedly. Everyone heard it, he asked to smash it, so let's smash it as he wishes. Tony Tiger Moretti didn't expect that I would really dare to do it, and immediately turned around. Kid, don't be shameless, don't forget where this is. I had a faint smile on my face. Oh, where is this? Am I not in America? Tony Tiger Moretti gritted his teeth, his eyes fixed on me. Hey Sam, I'm telling you, this is Riverdale, where Tony Moretti's words are law. I couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. No wonder he's a gangster, he speaks with authority. Listening to your tone, are you planning to call people over? Before he could speak, I immediately took out my cell phone and handed it to him. Call as much as you want. I just happen to have nothing to do today. I'll play with you. I've seen people who don't want to live, but I've never seen anyone as stubborn as Tony Tiger Moretti. In front of me, his fingers danced quickly on the screen. After a while, the first lucky viewer of today's phone connected. Hey, Vinny, it's Tiger, can you transfer some people to me? Yes, remember to bring the guys, it's in this diner I just opened. What kind of people are they? Just a bunch of stinky soldiers. Hey, Vinny, can you hear me? I heard a curse word from the other end of the phone even though I was more than a meter away from him. You idiot, if you want to die, don't drag me down with you. I silently counted for him in my heart. The second lucky viewer was about to connect. Hey, Kevin, it's Tiger, I'm having some trouble here. I just smashed a car, and they smashed all my Rolls-Royce. What car did I smash? It seems to be called Presidential Cadillac. Hey, Kevin? Don't hang up yet. The second lucky viewer also took his final bow. In the next 10 or 20 minutes, Tony Tiger Moretti made an average of 1 call per minute. The longest may have been less than half a minute, and the shortest may have been on a few seconds. But without exception, no one paid attention to him at all. And everyone blocked him. Directly angered are Tony Tiger Moretti. Damn! A bunch of cowardly trash. Usually bragging is better than anyone else, but now that it's time to get serious, they're all cowards. Hearing Tony Tiger Moretti's complaints, I actually started to sympathize with him a little. Ignorance is not terrible. What is terrible is that some people still don't know that they have caused a catastrophe. 07 While Tony Tiger Moretti was making calls, all 18 brand new Rolls-Royce were smashed to pieces. If it weren't for the car logo still hanging on it, they could have been dragged directly to the scrap iron station to sell scrap iron. My car. Tony Tiger Moretti felt extremely uncomfortable watching his beloved car being smashed. He looked at me with a resentful look. The car is smashed, you can leave now. Leave? Go where? The corner of my mouth rose slightly. The car issue is resolved, now it's time to resolve your issue. Tony Tiger Moretti didn't expect that I wouldn't let him go, and immediately exploded. Kid, I'm warning you, don't push your luck. I looked at him with a smile that wasn't a smile. Tony Tiger Moretti, you seem to have forgotten one thing. My $10,000 is still with you. Are you not planning to return it to me? That money was saved by my mom for a year to marry a wife, and I can't lose it. Tony Tiger Moretti stared at me, grinding his back teeth, and finally took out a cash gift in an envelope from his pocket. I recognized it at a glance as the one my mom had handed over this morning. But just as I reached out to take it, Tony Tiger Moretti retracted it. You want money? Beat me first. What? Today was the third time I thought there was something wrong with my ears. Tony Tiger Moretti wants to fight me one-on-one? Kid, if you're a man, fight me one-on-one. If you win, take the money. If you lose, you pay me for 18 Rolls-Royce. I felt that the bet was unfair, so I added another one. If I lose, all the cars you smashed today, I'll cover it all. But if I win, I suddenly drew out the sound. Take your men to the police station and turn yourselves in. The crowd erupted in whispers as soon as I finished speaking. Tony Tiger Moretti, you can't agree to this. Who will take care of my parents if I go inside? Exactly, Tiger, don't lower yourself to his level. Just give him the money. Tiger, this concerns all our futures, we can't gamble with this. The black-suited bodyguards who had tried to lay hands on me earlier had already witnessed my strength. Now they were earnestly trying to persuade him not to bet against me. But how could a godfather lose face in front of his own men? Tony Tiger Moretti spat on the ground and waved his hand dismissively. Brothers, don't worry. Tony Moretti, will win him today even if it costs me my life. After hearing Tony Tiger Moretti's words, the group of bodyguards slumped to the ground like deflated balloons. Stop wasting time, let's get this over with. Mom is waiting for me to come home for dinner. I put my hands behind my back, striking the pose of a master. Tony Tiger Moretti was completely enraged by my provocative action, cursing and swearing as he charged towards me. Just as his fist was about half a meter away from me, I gently raised my right foot. All that was heard was a "ah" sound, and Tony Moretti, who was just in front of me, flew 3 meters away. The moment he landed, blood spurted from his mouth. Tony Tiger Moretti struggled to stand up, only to find that he had no strength left in his body. Luckily, I had only used 30% of my strength, otherwise he would already be in the emergency room. I slowly walked up to him and took the cash gift in an envelope from my mom out of his pocket. You lost, Tiger. Tony Moretti stared at me in disbelief, his mouth opening and closing. No sound came out. I gently patted him on the shoulder. Don't get excited, catch your breath first, then speak slowly. After a while, Tony Moretti finally recovered. Sam Miller. Who the hell are you? A faint smile appeared on the corner of my mouth, and I stared fixedly at him. A soldier. 08 Tony Moretti's expression instantly froze. Why didn't you say so earlier? Looking at the somewhat silly and adorable godfather in front of me, I couldn't help but laugh. If I had told you earlier, would you still have fought me one-on-one? Tony Moretti was stunned by my words. I called the cops in front of him. 10 minutes later, a dozen uniformed officers arrived at the scene. At that moment, I noticed a glint in Tony Moretti's eyes as he looked at one of the officers. But it was quickly masked by his expression. As a former reconnaissance soldier, I immediately realized that there was something wrong with Tony Moretti's look. He clutched his chest and slowly got up from the ground. Officer, I want to turn myself in. After saying that, he walked towards the officer he had just exchanged glances with. But just as they made contact, I suddenly shouted, Wait! Miller, what do you mean by this? Haven't I already turned myself in as you asked? Tony Moretti's eyes were a little shifty as he looked at me, and I became even more certain of my guess. I walked towards the two of them. Officer, would you mind telling me your name? Before the officer could speak, Tony Moretti immediately interrupted. What his name is has nothing to do with you. I couldn't help but sneer. If I'm not mistaken, this person should be your relative, right? As soon as I finished speaking, Tony Moretti's face changed instantly. You're talking nonsense. I don't know him at all. Don't talk nonsense here, or I'll sue you for defamation. I'm telling you, slandering an officer is a serious crime. You better think carefully before you speak. Before I could even speak, someone from the Alice force stood up. Officer, which squad are you from? I don't think I've ever seen you before. The questioned officer was already covered in sweat. He stammered, I'm new here, this is my first mission today. These people were all rigorously trained, and his expression and tone clearly showed that he was lying. At that moment, the officer in charge tore off his badge. How dare you impersonate an officer? As soon as he finished speaking, the man immediately squatted on the ground, holding his head, and began to beg for mercy. Officer, I was wrong, I really didn't do it on purpose. Halfway through his sentence, he raised his hand and pointed at Tony Moretti, who was still in a daze. It's all him. He always told me to impersonate an officer, arrest him, and then let him go halfway. Officers, I was forced to do it. Tony Moretti immediately retorted. You're talking crap. I don't know you at all. Don't spread rumors here. The man impersonating the officer immediately took out his ID card from his pocket and shouted, I'm not lying, you can tell by looking at my ID. My name is Kevin Moretti. I'm Tony Moretti's brother-in-law, you can check. Now that the witness and the evidence were all present, there was nothing Tony Moretti could do. He probably never imagined that his final trump card would be exposed by me. He stared blankly ahead, not knowing what he was thinking. I guess he was probably reminiscing about his glorious past. A godfather had fallen. From then on, the name Tiger would be no more. 09 Just as the officers were about to take everyone away one by one, Emily Johnson rushed over and knelt down in front of me. Mr. Miller, I was wrong. Can you please let me go? I won't dare to do it again. Her best friend also knelt beside her, begging me for mercy. It's all my fault for being blind. I won't lie to people again. Please, for the sake of Emily and your blind date, be merciful and spare us this time. After saying that, they started kowtowing heavily to me. I turned my body to the side when they weren't paying attention. Okay, stop kowtowing, it's useless. It's no use begging me for mercy. Even if I can forgive you too, the law won't tolerate it. And what about those people who were cheated out of their money before? Can they forgive you? My words were like a knife, and Emily Johnson and her best friend were stunned on the spot. Reflect on your actions in prison and try to get out as soon as possible. After saying that, I turned and left. No matter how much they begged behind me, I pretended not to hear them at all. You reap what you sow, and whoever makes a mistake should be punished. After returning home, I immediately returned the cash gift in an envelope to Mom. She looked at me with a worried expression. Son, why was this cash gift in an envelope returned? Did they not like you? Don't be sad, Mom will find you an even better one tomorrow. I ate the pizza she made with her own hands, a happy smile on my face. Mom, I actually have a girlfriend. What did you say? Mom almost jumped up with excitement. You little rascal, why didn't you tell Mom that you have a girlfriend? No wonder I'm still finding people to introduce you. Oh, Mom, just stay at home obediently. There are so many scammers out there these days. I didn't plan to tell her about being scammed. Because as a mother, all she wanted was her son's happiness, and there was nothing wrong with that. At that moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. I looked at the door with anticipation. Mom, what are you still standing there for? Go open the door! Before I could finish speaking, Mom immediately put down her chopsticks and ran all the way to the door. The moment the door was opened, a heroic figure stood straight at the door. Hello, ma'am, I'm Sam Miller's girlfriend, and I'm an active duty officer. My name is Grace Green.